Hello, and welcome to the Continuity Report, powered by ohmTown.com. Today is June 30th, 2024. It's Season 1, Episode 26. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the visualizer for the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to the Continuity Report.
I can never catch those. So today we're going to be talking about the best Disney movie from 30 years ago, movies that couldn't be better than their opening, the best thriller TV shows, a new time travel movie, Ballerina has competition, dominating the small screen, scientifically accurate movies, the best movie performances of 2024 so far. The set was hot, but the movie flopped, and canceled Star Wars movies. So the Continuity Report is basically a show about entertainment, and we talk about the news aggregated into the Continuity Report channel at ohmTown.com, as well as across ohmTown in general. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, be sure to follow us over here on twitch.tv/ohmTown or youtube.com/ohmTown. Definitely subscribe, become a citizen over at ohmTown.com. There's a Patreon, there's a Discord, and more. So stick around. But like I said earlier, everything is powered by ohmTown.com. All right, folks, let's jump into the news. I'm losing my voice, so I probably won't stay long. At least today. We're only going to do this last.
We can talk at 4 times the speed or something.
Wait, what was that?
I said maybe we can talk at 4 times the speed or something.
Yeah, that's always easy on the voice too. I'm going to scream a lot. That's what I'm going to do. I'm a soapbox. Just kidding, I'm not. So the first article for today is over in the Continuity Report channel. The best Disney movie released 30 years ago, and I need Disney to stop messing with my childhood. This is from Screen Rant. So the the little snippet that gets aggregated, and I actually chop it off. They would provide more, but I actually chop it off.
Yeah, they're too generous with their snippets.
Yeah, and I go over and I read them when I'm not using them in the show. When I know that I'm using them in the show, I don't read it. That way, our reaction, the sentient AI, may sometimes go over and read the content, but I don't. I avoid it, really. But
I usually do too, but I try to announce it if I saw it.
Yeah, I want our reactions to be authentic. It's kind of like reaction news. But we normally have a little bit of experience in everything that we talk about. So the best Disney movie released 30 years ago. Believe me, well, we were around 30 years ago. So 30 years after its release, The Lion King is still Disney's best movie. But the author here says that they're worried about its legacy and how it'll be impacted by Disney's various live action remakes and spin-offs. Released in June of 1994, The Lion King became an instant success as it received critical acclaim and became the top-earning film of the year with a worldwide gross of $763 million. The iconic music.
First of all, I didn't realize Lion King was from that far back, or that it did so well.
Yeah, 30 years. Blink and it's gone. That's why I always kind of smile ironically at people that make mention of age or something like that. Like, I streamed once on a different platform that's now defunct, and somebody had come into the stream and said, "What's this old guy doing?" And I had to fight back a mom joke. But anyway, the iconic music, the breathtaking animation, and the emotional depth of its equally dramatic and humorous story made Lion King timeless. And not the streamer timeless _exe. You should go over to their channel. They stream as a co-host with Dunkstar, DUNCSTAR. Anyway,
If everybody has a movie or song or whatever that they like, they never want it redone.
yeah, of course. Yeah, it's the entertainment NIMBY. Along with cementing it as a childhood favorite of the authors to watch, rewatch on numerous occasions. The article is over at Screen Rant, and a rant it appears to be. Matthew Rudoy, might be Rudy, I'm not sure. But anyway, they put the article together, and it says, as summary, The Lion King remains Disney's best movie with its iconic music and animation standing the test of time. The live-action remakes and spin-offs of The Lion King risk undermining the original's beloved legacy. I believe that simply because live action with an animal, if it's all CG, it's horrible. It never looks right.
Right. If the animated was such a hit, maybe it doesn't need to be improved upon other than redoing the animation if it's improved in technology.
Yeah, just redo the animation and re-release it. Don't change anything. It was a great story. So will you end up maybe losing burning some money to reproduce it? Not if this story is sound, not if the quality of the animation is great.
Right, and you could have a whole generation of people that might want to see it that haven't even heard of it or seen it.
Yeah, the modern version of it with the modern technology versus the old stuff, right? Some people are going to be nostalgic to see the old stuff. You can play, hey, this is what I thought was amazing when I was your age, but that was 30 years ago. Now, 30 years later.
Of course, if you front-load with that, I'm not sure you'll get any takers.
Well, some people appreciate that. If you raise a kid to appreciate more than just whatever is directly in front of them at the time. So they say Mufasa, The Lion King, as a prequel and sequel may weaken the iconic characters and story of the 1994 film, but this is all fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I don't think that.
Well, how about if they watch the live action and then they tear it to shreds if they don't like that?
No, I have to ruin it now. The Lion King officially turned 30 years old this year. But they reiterate that the music, animation, and story is timeless. I don't know about that, because can you say the same thing about previous iterations of stories that were animated, that were hits then? Is it still hits?
But you might say it, but does it really remain that way? Or does it get outdated, perhaps?
Yeah. If I look at something that was animated in the 30s, I'm going to sit there and go, yeah, all right, no. But some, I don't know, nostalgia aficionado is going to sit there and go, oh my gosh, the animation is impeccable. And that's kind of what I feel like this is doing, right? 30 years later, The Lion King still grabs them from the second it begins in a way that few other movies ever have, with its circle of life opening.
Right. Do you want to sing it?
The circle of life. No, my voice is going really bad. So hearing the circle of life or Hakuna Matata, which I always wanted, like, Hakuna Matata.
Okay, that'd be a funny version of it.
And the other cleverly written and perfectly performed songs, even outside the context of watching the film, emotionally transports the author to the magic of watching The Lion King as a kid. My goodness.
I think they're a little obsessed with The Lion King.
A little
I think
gushy.
It's a really good movie, but my goodness.
Yeah, a little gushy. Maybe that's our problem. We're going to have a real hard time with the continuity report because we're not sitting there swooning at an animated movie. But
or a non-animated movie.
Or any movie, pretty much anything. I don't know. I'm more along the lines of what's that movie reviewer?
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going.
Oh, the two of the Muppets.
No.
No, really? Where did you think we were going?
I was just going toward the ambivalent discussion from Grosse Point Blank, which is a completely different context, but for some reason that came to mind.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Sorry for the dead air. Yeah, I don't want to sell anything, buy anything, or process anything as a career. I don't want to sell anything bought or processed, or buy anything sold or process anything sold, bought, or processed, or repair anything sold, bought, or processed. And then they end with,
right.
I just want to hang with your daughter. Yeah, that's basically us. Yeah, I suppose. Almost like the tea talk at the end there. I wanted to just go, good times, yeah, good times. Yeah. So they get really into like the feelings of this. Part of this is due to the eerily lifelike visualizations of the animals, which made some scenes feel like they were watching a wildlife documentary where the animals were singing and talking to each other instead of their actions being narrated in a documentary voiceover. This is the live action.
That I would agree with, right? That can be done incorrectly in some live action movies with animals.
Sure. Let's see, but this just doesn't look good. This doesn't look good. This is not what a little lion is going to look like if it's flying off of a tree on you.
No, but like it's HDR. Not supposed to be threatening if we're trying to think the lion cub is cute.
Yeah, I know, but the coloration just seems off, and I don't know. I just don't like live action anything, I suppose. While the live action Lion King was disappointing, it ultimately didn't damage the original's legacy, as it mostly amounted to an inferior retelling of the original story. But they shouldn't have done a live action of it. Mufasa the Lion King may not be so easily dismissed from the legacy conversation, as it won't just be a retelling, since it's telling new stories through the tale of Mufasa's past and Kiara hearing the tale for herself. Yeah, I seriously think that it has the potential, but not because it's anything other than live action. If it would have been animated, I think it would be fine.
Well, absolutely. In fact, it would probably be an improvement off the original, which a lot of people like, just because there have been advances in animation technique.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
I think I almost said onomatopoeia there because I started to add multiple syllables to animation.
Wow. Oof. You might have to reboot. Let's keep going.
My battery is draining.
Yeah, we'll have to run away. The continuity report is where the next article is. 10 movies that couldn't top their opening scene, which is what I stumbled on when I was trying to say the title that I gave it, which was movies that couldn't, I had a typo, top their opening. Anyway, let me fix that real quick in the show notes too. Well, I won't be able to in the show notes. At any rate, some memorable movies feature opening scenes that are better than everything that happens afterward. Certain opening scenes lie about how good the movie will be, misleading the audience with an opener that is possibly the only good part of the movie. However, other movies are good all the way through, but the first scene still goes above and beyond and emerges as the best part. So again, this article is over at Screen Rant. Abigail Stevens is the author. And they do a summary, which is fine. Spectre's opening scene at a Day of the Dead celebration promises a well-crafted espionage adventure, but the movie fails to deliver. Pardon me. That was a weird sound that just emanated from me. Saving Private Ryan's unforgettable D-Day invasion scene is a powerful start that remains unmatched throughout the film, and X2's captivating Nightcrawler White House attack sets a high standard that the rest of the movie struggles to meet. Yeah, I agree. So they go on to talk about more of these movies. A lot of action movies kick things off with an in media res sequence showing the heroes and villains already in the middle of a fight. This is a tried and true way to hook the audience from the beginning, but it challenges the movie to maintain the thrills while telling a compelling story all the way through. I agree. Spectre had this chase scene. Bond walks through a Day of the Dead celebration. The decor, costumes of the celebration provide one of the most interesting backdrops seen in a Bond movie, while a long tracking shot showcases Bond's aplomb in the field, moving from one location to the next with ease. Everything from the color palette to the sound to the cinematography comes together in perfect segue to Bond's next mission. However, it falls short. Spectre 20.
I mean, maybe they should have almost moved that scene to the middle of the movie or something if they could do it chronologically.
Yep. That's the editor. The next article, the number 9 movie is Saving Private Ryan, which is the D-Day invasion scene. And they ultimately end up having to go and get Private Ryan because they're the last surviving son of, I think, all of the sons of a family, and they were ordered to go and get this one Private Ryan. Then there's Ghost Ship. An elegant party on a cruise ship takes a horrific turn. I don't remember this, but it's a horror movie. Ghost Ship's opening scene begins with a tone and presentation that feels like a rom-com, with a swirling font used to introduce the movie as the ocean liner and its passengers appear. An elegant party is happening on deck and everything is peaceful. However, the movie quickly and seamlessly transitions into a foreboding score to accompany the bizarre accident that results in the deaths of many passengers and crew. Then X2. Oh my goodness, what's going on?
Oh. Well, I mean, this one, if that's the opening scene, I can see why it stands out, not your typical open scene.
Yeah, this is about Nightcrawler launching a riveting attack on the White House. It's pretty cool. He has the ability to kind of port anywhere as long as he can see where he's going to port to. And it's very ghostly, and he's got a tail, an opposable tail. Nightcrawler leaves it in his wake. Sorry, the smoke that Nightcrawler leaves in his wake gives the scene a slightly creepier, more intense feeling. I agree, it's a fun episode. Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, Anakin and Obi-Wan participate in a thrilling space chase sequence. Let me see. This isn't the one. Yeah, let's just say I've lost a lot of respect for space horses riding on the tops, on the outside of ships. Really? Star Wars?
Where is there loss of respect for the horses or for Star Wars?
For anybody deciding to do that. This leads to the tense mission to rescue Chancellor Palpatine from General Grievous's ship with multiple crash landings. The whole sequence is fast-paced. Yeah, I mean, it's fun. You have to suspend disbelief and at a level of magnitude that, rivals Hurricane Barrel. Then there's
Category 4.
Yeah, probably 7. So number 5 on this list is Up. Carl and Ellie's life together is summarized in only a few minutes and brought a grown man to tears, let me tell you. The opening scene.
I think it brought a lot of people to tears based on what I've read about it.
Yeah, but that's their magic. Pixar actually has like this, I don't know, something that hooks into the chemicals of your brain and says, okay, we're going to make you sob. So Up imparts something heartbreakingly real in that time with a structure that is incredibly simple yet effective. And whoever it was that actually directed this into fruition, I don't know if they have just an amazing understanding of their emotions but didn't short out the electronics in the room every time they had to review a little segment.
Right, exactly. Or maybe they were somebody without any emotions.
Yeah, they could be psychopathic, right? Nimona, which I've never heard of. A fiendish pink-haired figure sees the newscast about Ballister and declares that he is perfect before the title drops, and Dope, St. Jude's girl-like overtakes the moment. All right. We'll have to watch that, or I'll have to watch that. The Dark Knight, the Joker leads a violent and labyrinthine heist, basically blowing up a thing, and he sits there tapping on the trigger, never blows up, and then it does. Faces the monumental challenge of living up to the first scene, which sets the stage for the movie that will be dominated by the Joker's schemes. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of, well, that. Number 2 is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Well, if you look past the fact that you could skip this entire movie and watch the end and none of the events in the middle took
And then
place,
you didn't need Indy at all for the movie.
Yeah, it basically just ends up the same way. But I think every aspect of this movie was awesome. And it isn't the first expedition that sets the trend. It's not the worst. It's not the best. It's all of them are at the same level. It's all just awesome.
Well, then maybe they should have had multiple entries on here about all of the Indiana Jones movies opening scenes.
I'm sure that Screen Rant has a list of all of them rated. And then Inglourious Bastards. Shoshana's family is killed, setting her plan for revenge in motion. Yeah, this is a pretty brutal opening. So I won't even get into it. But by the way, Inglourious Bastards are 2 words that don't really exist. Immediately demonstrates the movie's high stakes as well as the persona of its main villain. Christopher Waltz goes on to win an Oscar for his performance, with the opener being one of the strongest scenes. Yeah, it's an interesting movie, but I don't think I have the heart to watch it more than once.
That's the case with a lot of really good movies, if they aren't comedies or something.
Yeah. Let's keep going, though. The next article is over in the Warcrafters channel, the best thriller TV series to watch on Netflix. And this is over at Polygon. Pete Volk, Toussaint Egan, and Zosha Millman, I think, put the article together. The deck statement says the best dramas on streaming to get your blood pumping, but it says best thriller. Drama?
Thriller drama. I mean, a drama can be a thriller, right? But not all. I said it backwards, I think. Thrillers can kind of be a subset of a drama.
All right.
But probably not the other way around.
So they say Hellbound, Babylon Berlin, Bodies, The Diplomat, Ganglands, Lupin? Thriller? Drama?
I mean, it's like a heist kind of movie, but there's a lot of chase scenes and things like that. So I guess that counts as a thriller, but I don't think I would have called it that.
So it's pronounced Lupin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thrill of the heist, I guess. Thriller, yes. Drama, no. He's been working as a con artist and thief for years, drawing his inspiration. We've watched 2 seasons, and there's a third.
Right, but not the third.
It says the French series was a breakout hit when it premiered on Netflix, thanks in large part to Sai's performance. He is magnetic as he makes con artistry look easy with the sort of natural charm that makes you believe he can fake his way into any vault or safe in France. For the heist, the end is typically self-assured. So I don't want to go too deep into this, but it's a very slow boil show. So if you think thriller is running around all kinds of crazy, frenetic, Fast and Furious kind of thing, this is not it.
Right. No, that is true.
And then Mindhunter, Monster, The Night Agent, which it says sometimes you want a light brain thriller. Yeah, I would say The Night Agent, which kind of is hamstrung, right? I mean, this started before the pandemic and then got stuck, right?
I think it came out in 2022.
Did it really? Because I thought nothing has been moving on this. But there is more to it.
No, it was 2023.
Oh, okay. So something happened with this that it got stalled. Oh, the writer's strike must have impacted it.
Maybe between seasons 1 and 2.
Because there's something supposed to there's some more to this.
Yeah, Night Agent 2 is on its way out. They've been mentioning some casting news. We had another article about it in Continuity Report previously.
Right. Yeah, they changed one of the people, right? I think
so.
We'll see. So then there's you, and that's it. So I'm gonna kind of let you all go over and check this out because there's a lot of shows, but we haven't watched all of these.
Well, they're quite a variety. Like this is a broad swath of thrillers because I would say most of these are unlike others on the list.
Like they say, The Bodies is a terrific cerebral whodunit with an excellent ensemble cast whose stories weave into one another effortlessly as the series builds and the mystery deepens. Built on Cy Spencer's 2014 comic. A sci-fi crime thriller follows 4 detectives living in different time periods of London. Cerebral is right. Jeepers. Yeah, that might be interesting to watch. So we'll
I haven't heard of that one. I have heard about Babylon Berlin.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. It's featured a lot of times based on other, like if you like, I forgot which one it was, something like Vera, but it wasn't Vera. Something, you end up with Babylon Berlin, but I don't remember which show it was that was kind of connected to it in similar
Is it
genre,
the High Castle one? Because that one had to do with Nazis too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Interesting. So bad things are coming to 1929 Berlin. We know this, of course, with the vantage point of history in the Weimar Republic era as marked by economic insecurity in the beginning of the Nazi Party. Yep. Everything degrades still. Nazi Party. All right, let's keep going though. The next article is over in the Marvel channel. Black Panther and Terminator Zero's creators are teaming up for a new time travel movie, which I think is going to be awesome no matter what. Hello, 7 Heavy. Graphic novel series A Vicious Circle already tells a cinematic story following time-traveling assassins chasing each other through the past and future, and now the title is taking its next logical step. It'll become a film produced by Ryan Coogler from Black Panther and adapted by Mattson Tomlin. So, Vicious Circle, huh? Cheryl Eddy over at Gizmodo.com is putting the article together. The deck statement says Ryan Coogler and Mattson Tomlin are joining forces to adapt Boom Studios' graphic novel A Vicious Circle. It'll become a film produced by Ryan Coogler, adapted by Mattson Tomlin, who created the original novels with artist Lee Bermeo, and is also the showrunner on Netflix's Terminator Zero animated series. And the news comes from Hollywood Reporter, which I don't think we aggregate. I'm not sure.
I don't know, but I was thinking, I wonder if this is similar to Looper, and it's mentioned in here.
Yep, there you go. And that's where I thought too. So they say that the project is a two-hander enticingly dubbed John Wick meets Looper. So everybody's going to die through time. There we go. And Looper has a really interesting foundational world-building concept, which is the mob gets hold of a time travel
like the
device.
Time travel technology or device,
and uses it for the crime syndicate. So A Vicious Circle official description bears that out. Sean Thacker is a trained assassin from the future who seeks revenge on the only other man with his affliction. Each life they take forces them to both travel between vastly different pasts and future eras, spanning from 22nd century Tokyo to 1950s New Orleans to the Cretaceous period and beyond, or era and beyond. The two mortal rivals are locked in a battle of wills that span millions of years, all to alter the course of history. Well, there you go. This is like one of the movies that I would watch and talk about in temporology.
Well, this exactly fits that. Plus, it looks like something that might be fun to watch.
Yeah, we'll be putting that on the list. Who knows when it's going to actually come out, though, right?
I don't think they
because,
gave a release date.
yeah, both the big names involved are very busy at the moment. Tomlin's Terminator Zero debuts August 29th, and he also co-wrote Batman 2 script with Matt Reeves. Coogler, of course, has that mysterious maybe vampire movie in the works with Michael B. Jordan. But we're looking forward to this creative team up whenever it happens, which kind of sucks because I want it to happen. I don't want to wait around waiting for it to happen.
Exactly.
This next article is over in the Continuity Report. Ana de Armas Ballerina now has serious competition to be 2025's best John Wick replacement. So, although Ana de Armas, Armas's, I guess, Ballerina sounds like an exciting John Wick replacement, Nobody 2 will give the action movie a run for its money. When John Wick was released in 2014, so 10 years ago already, few could have predicted just how influential director Chad Stahelski's action thriller would become. The John Wick series only grew more financially successful with each new installment. Where John Wick was a $20 million action movie that earned an impressive $80 million upon release. It was only $20 million? With
Yes,
Keanu
in
Reeves?
fact, I think I was looking at some other article in the Continuity Report channel and like how it had grown. I mean, it started out decent, but it really grew over time during the franchise. But I think the first one was the best in the franchise.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it set the foundation for the world building. And it wasn't really, I mean, it was over the top, but not bananas. Like the rest of it, it just kind of got more and more surreal. But John Wick Chapter 4 cost $100 million and made a staggering $440 million, which really isn't staggering in the grand scheme of things nowadays. Like billions of dollars are made now. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Cathal Gunning? Cathal? Maybe it's, I don't know. Cathal Gunning over at Screen Rant put the article together. And let's see if we can summarize this in a little bit quicker. So in broader terms, the John Wick franchise went from fun Keanu vehicle to a genuine pop culture phenomenon. The Simpsons and Bob's Burger both parodied the series, while the movie's creators parlayed their success into more blockbuster projects. John Wick's uncredited co-director David Leitch went on to make Hobbs and Shaw, Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde, The Fall Guy, and produced 2021's Kate. Paul Stahelski penned Netflix's 2022 action comedy horror Day Shift. Each also produced Nobody.
But the one that's most interesting to me in that list, Atomic Blonde, is because I think it's very similar to John Wick's style.
And what's going to probably be Ballerina as well. So Nobody 2 will challenge Ballerina for 2025's best John Wick-esque action movie. Bob Odenkirk's action sequel will rival Ana de Armas's thriller. It's two completely different, like, source materials, right? I mean, my understanding is that
I think as far as we know.
Yeah, Ballerina is like a spin-off of John Wick. But I don't know about Nobody 2.
Right, but it'll be interesting if something external can out John Wick.
Interesting. To make matters more difficult, the announcement of Nobody 2 proved that Ballerina won't be the only John Wick-esque action movie landing on screens in 2025. Nobody 2 is scheduled for release 2025. The original Nobody saw Odenkirk's mild-mannered suburban everyman Hutch reveal his secret past as a government assassin after a home invasion, which is kind of like what happened with John Wick themselves.
Well, also Sentinel, I think, has that. Was that TV show? It had one season and there's another one coming. I think it's called Sentinel.
I don't remember. So let's see. Thanks to Ballerina's combination of de Armas' star power and the John Wick brand, it could have the edge on Nobody. This is a tie together that I just don't get, because it's spun from Nobody, and although it's John Wick-esque in the home invasion turned, reactivation of the assassin.
Turn revenge kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's not John Wick. And compared to Ballerina, it's a little more abstract because Ballerina is new world building on top of the John Wick world building from John Wick. Yeah, I don't get it. But that's okay. They do argue though, which movie will be bigger. I think Ballerina will be bigger because I think people want to see a female assassin kicking everybody's ass.
Well, right. I mean, again, to go back to Atomic Blonde, I think you'd want to look at the box office for that and see how it did. I know there's been some others, but that was listed here.
Yeah. And I mean, I like the idea. Ana de Armas, I think, can hold her own as a John Wick. So pretty cool. I dig it. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. YouTube is dominating the small screen and giving cable a run for its money on traditional TVs, according to a new report. Streaming services led by YouTube are drawing record high views. I'm one of those. I don't subscribe to regular TV anymore. I actually have it attached to YouTube, but I would forego that if for a moment I knew that there was going to be a stable secondary service that would provide everything. But as it stands, there are a couple of shows that only present themselves on conventional TV. And so I don't know, everything old is new again. People say cut the cord, but you never cut the cord. You never really truly cut the cord. Sharon Chibu put the article together over at entrepreneur.com. And the takeaways here are streaming platforms such as Netflix and YouTube are leaping off laptops and smartphones to bigger screens, TV screens, which is easy if you have Apple TV or some other device that attaches to a television. You just load up basically the internet, YouTube and Netflix and Twitch and every other app that you can think of. That's how it's now situated. It's all balkanized into individual apps, and you end up paying $130 a month to get all of these shows. But you're more constrained, and you have to watch all of the ads and blah blah blah. I mean,
you have to remember which app every show is on.
Yeah, exactly. You have to hunt it all down. Although Apple does a really good job of consolidating it all. A June Nielsen report shows that streaming has a bigger share of the TV market than ever, more than cable broadcast and other TV services. It's because people are tired of cable. Certain streaming platforms, YouTube in particular, are dominating both the TV and the streaming market, and that's because YouTube actually consolidates them. You can watch on YouTube all of the other channels just by adding that TV layer to YouTube. And you can stream music to YouTube and a bunch of other stuff. So, Seven Heavy says newer smart TVs have all the apps anyway. True. And you have to attach your TV to it. And so I tend to kind of eschew that and suggest people get something that is secondary. So like an Apple TV or a Fire Stick or something that you can be in greater control of, because you just don't know what's going on with the security of a smart TV. So yeah, I don't like smart TVs. I'll never attach them directly to my network. You can even fragment your network, make subnets of them, and kind of block smart TVs and other Internet of Things devices from the rest of your network. But you have to be pretty sophisticated and aware of what's going on. It says about 1 in 10 people who turn on the TV wanted to watch YouTube. Quote, we're not talking about your mobile phone, your laptop, that I'm sure you see your kids using all the time, but the biggest screen in the house, the TV. Lightshed media analyst Rich Greenfield told CNBC he added that every media executive should be watching the trend. And that's where most of the TV, I'd say YouTube, is watched as well. Netflix is on big screen. YouTube is on big screen. Hulu is on big screen. It's just
That still
nonstop.
surprises me, though, from a generational standpoint. I mean, I certainly think a lot of people have gone away from cable companies, but I suspect there are still a lot of viewers out there attached to cable companies.
It's just easier, right? You get a place to live, you activate cable, you plug it into the wall.
I mean, it's just more habit than anything, right?
Sure.
But it is easier in terms of you don't have to have all these separate subscriptions typically.
I would argue that as the generations come online, the younger generations, when it's their turn, they are not calling a Comcast or some.
They don't even
company.
really know what cable is in some younger generations, right? Because they really haven't been around it much or not been interested in it.
Yeah, they're like, okay, I got to get my Hulu or Prime or Disney, or they're sailing the 7 seas. Code piracy. Anyway, streaming had a higher proportion of the market than cable, 28.2%, broadcast, 22.3%, or any other service, 10.8%. So the streaming industry overall commanded a record high 38.8% of views through TV in May. That means nearly 2 in 5 interactions with a TV last month were to access a streaming service. Yeah, I can see that. And 30 years ago, we joked about this. They're like, wait, you're kidding me. To watch this movie, you're going to have to pay $5 more a month just for this. Well, it's more than that. It's $14 a month unless you want ads. Or I should say, without ads, it's $14 or $15
Right.
a month.
Let's tack on another fee if you don't want ads.
Yeah. Oh, and there is. Prime did that. Prime mid-year said, hey, you have to watch ads or pay $3 more a month. Like, what?
After they hooked you without ads.
Yeah, you're a freaking billionaire. I think that you can take the $3 hit, but apparently not. You don't stay a billionaire by reducing the margin of your profit, apparently.
Tell that to the owner of Arizona Iced Tea.
There is a lot of discussion about that, by the way. We had talked about it, and then people started talking about it in various other venues, not ohmTown, because we don't really have like a lot of discussion taking place in ohmTown. People come for the news headlines and then follow the links, and then that's it. And it's not like Reddit, because Reddit, just to take a stab at Reddit started out by using fake users and fake comments. And then when Dig collapsed, that's when there was this massive influx of people. And obviously they were both successful already, but merged together, they became the biggest news aggregation site. But they have a lot of noise over there, like a lot of noise. Anyway, the reason why I brought it up is because they were having this discussion at Reddit and other places online, saying that there are companies that are raising the price, like shops that are raising the price above the $99, but they sell there's a can that's 99 cents, but their bottles are not. And people are raising the price on the bottles and not selling the can anymore. Or just basic cans once they run out.
Oh, like the retailers are making that decision. Correct. I see. Okay.
Yeah. And I found that really fascinating because I've actually stumbled across that a couple of times. And I'm like, it says right on the damn can that it's 99 cents. How are you raising the price up above it? And unless the contract is a la like Walmart, where they are forbidden from raising the price, they can jack the price up to $5. I'm sure somebody will pay $2.50 for a can of Arizona iced tea. I always get chuckles because I'll bring one of those It's like carrying a 40-ounce beer keg into your office and setting it down in a meeting. Merwat, are you okay? Feeling a little dehydrated there, bub? Anyway, let's go on to the next article. It's over in Reality Hacker. 5 most scientifically accurate sci-fi movies ranked. Scientifically accurate sci-fi movies use realistic concepts to create plausible stories, from the survival story in The Martian and its potatoes to the familiar future in Her. Wow.
Wow, we're seeing a lot of Her lately.
And boy, howdy, do people want to see a lot of Her. Anyway, Hannah Saab is the author over at digitaltrends.com who put the article together. Okay, so these are the 5 that they're talking about. Gattaca, Interstellar, Arrival, The Martian, and Her. I think Her got thrown in there simply because if everything would have stayed the same from 2013 until now, Her would not be in this list. But AI exploded.
Right, but it came out, right? Like in 2023, broadly to the public.
Yeah, it's massive now. And so, of course, it's number 1. But in 5 years, it's not going to be number 1 anymore, even if it is accurate. And it's not. I mean, it is and it isn't. But because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes of Her. It just exists. And so what is the reality of it? So I'll have to watch more of it. I bought the movie because I loved the premise of it, but it's kind of a slog for me to go through it. So Gattaca is brilliant. That has a huge potential for reality if society pivots towards eugenics, essentially deciding the outcome of people based on their genetic history. And anything less than perfect is referred to as a degenerate, because you didn't use something to manipulate the natural genes into superior genetic stock, I guess you want to call it. But it is.
Well, I was going to say with the space travel, that one's looking more and more realistic.
That's true too, huh? Because they were taking off from the planet like all the time, just one rocket after another, timed launches, quite regular. And then just the other day, I saw 2 rockets return from SpaceX and land on the platforms right next to each other. And that was Gattaca. I even said that during the event. I'm like, okay, Gattaca has basically arrived. Interstellar, I think, is a little too surreal because it had this massive space travel kind of situation, which, based on the scientific discussions that I've had and that we've watched and talked about even here on the show, not this particular show, but in Technology Today, which is going to be postponed until Monday. But anyway, Interstellar, the ships in Interstellar, every 5 years, the argument is superior technology is born and would pass up the ship that launched 5 years previous. So I have a hard time really, like, everything in Interstellar was brilliant at the time, but 10 years later, there would have been 2 additional ships launched that would have been able to pass up everything that the ship in Interstellar did. And there were several, but their embodiment of the black hole, that is the thing that I think this is the fulcrum of. So if I follow this down, in fact, I'll just drop down there. Odds on it's going to refer to the black hole. For instance, the depiction of the black hole Gargantua is praised for its accuracy. In fact, it was the first time, I think, that the representation of a black hole was accurate and then reproducible with the scientific discussions and representations that other scientists brought forward, showing the fact that it would have that little cut through the center of it because it's actually showing what's behind it in the accretion disk. And it's all, I mean, it's all accurate, but still, with this knowledge that we've got about technology surpassing it in 5 years, particularly if people are motivated to get off the planet, they'd be sending ships off. But Arrival is one of these movies where if you know the source material, it can lay you low. But let's scroll down to Arrival, which, if you're not familiar with this movie, essentially some ships land on Earth, and she's drawn into this. What is her name? Dr. Louise Banks, or Louise Banks. And she had a relationship with her daughter, and it's tied somehow to these heptapods, and time is related to this, and their manner of communication is these really complex circles. And you think that this is really about science fiction or science in general, but it's really about humanity, and this tie that she has to understanding time and time travel. And by the end of the movie, it deviates from the source material, which I don't know if they're actually going to make any mention of.
I was going to say that's from a short story called Stories of Your Life by Ted Chiang. It's actually an anthology of stories.
Yeah, and so this short story deviates dramatically from, well, I should say the movie deviates from that short story. But if you want to know what the true nature of Arrival is, go and read this short story. And then you watch the movie, or either way, it doesn't really matter. But either way, it's like watching a real life Up, because you get engrossed in the movie and then you get yeeted over to this woman and her relationship with her daughter. And I don't want to ruin it, but let's just say at the end of the movie, something is said that changes future history and her understanding of her place in the universe. It's quite a profound movie. And so I got really invested in it, and then I got the book. So, and then The Martian shows about potatoes. That's easy to talk about. And then Her is all about an artificial intelligence. I can't really talk more about The Martian because it's so plain and simple. A person lands, gets stranded on Mars, does everything in their power to survive long enough for a recovery trip to take place. It's pretty damn simple.
It seems a little too close to current events, doesn't it?
Yeah. I guess it depends on if we actually send humans. Again, it's going to take 5 years to get to Mars, right? So by the time they get to Mars... I was
thinking of another location, but yes.
The moon? You mean, the ISS.
Yeah. I know it's not the same thing, but it just reminds me of that.
Yeah, they're going to have to learn how to grow potatoes on the ISS and hopefully get off of the ISS by the time SpaceX sends up its mission to
Exactly. I mean, it's supposed to crash it into the ocean, so that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it'll probably land in somebody's yard in Florida.
No, living room, right?
Yeah. Just punch right on through. And there, again, you can't really talk much about Her. It's a 11-year-old movie based on concepts that were at the kind of nascent stage of artificial intelligence, and it's coming really close to what artificial intelligence is today, except it's faster. But it has...
Don't you think it's interesting that 4, 3, 2, and 1 are roughly the exact same time frame, and they're roughly 10 years from now? So it makes me think we need to be looking at the sci-fi movies today to figure out what's going to be happening in 2034.
Where we're going to be? Yeah.
Actually, but say 5 years from now or whatever, right? Because things tend to accelerate.
Oh, so movies today foretell, they are the documentaries of a decade from now.
Well, based on this list, I would say so.
Okay, that's kind of scary. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, if you notice books getting pushed off the bookshelf, that's Interstellar, so you be aware of that. All right. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Reality Hacker, the best movie performances of 2024 ranked so far. I'm going to have to move fast through this because we will get hung up on this forever. But this is going to be the last show for today because I'm losing my voice. Dan Girolamo put the article together over at digitaltrends.com. And they only have 5 of them. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here. It says, can you believe we've reached halfway point of 2024 despite the slow start of 2024? Movies have come on strong in the past few months. Dune Part 2 cemented Denis Villeneuve's status as one of the 5 best blockbuster filmmakers working today. Additionally, Inside Out 2 continues to break box office records on its way to becoming the year's first billion-dollar grosser, which is probably, like at the end of today, is probably going to be $1 billion or something like that.
It has really actually hit $1 billion.
Yeah. And they talk about Jesse Plemons in Civil War, Owen Teague and Kevin Durand in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Josh O'Connor in Challengers, Jodie Comer in The Bike Riders, and Glenn Powell in Hitman. The article of this is the 5 best movie performances of 2024 so far ranked. So it's individuals that they're referring to.
Right, but I'm surprised at who's not on the list or what movie is not represented.
Oh.
Well, what about Dune 2, right? Wasn't it a 2024 release? I know it's not about movies, but I would think maybe that would be in there. Or, sorry, what was it? Willy Wonka, I think it was 2024. Like, there's just some things that you might think would be in here.
Chalamet in both of those.
Not Chalamet specifically, but just right. I'm thinking of movies that had a pretty big following.
Gotcha. These seem so off the main path. The only one that I think has like tremendous, I guess, pull is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, because it has a huge amount of time and world building attached to it, and it's sci-fi, like off the charts sci-fi. But I don't know about like any of this. This is the one about Zendaya being a tennis prodigy, and the 2 guys that lose their minds for, and I'm not sure what all else plays off of that. And then Jodie Comer in The Bike Riders, which I've never even heard anything about. I mean, I feel... Seven Heavy says, isn't the article talking about individual performances? Yeah, it is. So like in each one of these, they're talking about the individual themselves. So like Owen Teague and Kevin Durand in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. But I think that a lot of the performance is built off, it is popular because it's popular. The movie is popular. And so as long as they show some prowess in acting, it's going to have a greater number of votes because more people
Correct.
Are watching Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
But even though that may or may not be the best acting of 2024, right? It could be some movie that nobody's seen, and it could have had a spectacular acting role.
Yeah, and Seven Heavy says similar. So the following of the film shouldn't matter if the article is genuine. And so this is, to me, it's a personal opinion about this. But like, really, what is it? What you have to kind of buy into this particular author's perception of what these great movies are. So I'm not really poo-pooing anything here. I'm just saying that if you're going to say Jesse Plemons in Civil War, we're going to have to go and watch Civil War, and that particular scene and pay attention to it and that kind of a thing. But it's one
exactly.
of the things
I'm actually just surprised that some of these on here. They could be spectacular.
Yeah. Seven Heavy says, or maybe the article is genuine and not caring about the mainstream. Yeah. That, I mean, from end to end, I think that this is maybe their personal opinion, purely their personal opinion, but they started out saying that they were referencing blockbuster movies in the first $1 billion performance grosser, etc. Yeah. And true. Seven Heavy says again, mainstream has never meant quality. True.
Very true.
So it's kind of interesting. And if you, I would have to go back and look at more of their opinions on other movies that strike true for me. And that's kind of like what movie review really should be. If you talk to or read about a review or whatever, and the people that you're talking with or reading have an affinity for your particular mindset, then you're going to go, yeah, I totally buy into it. You know, Jodie Comer and the Bike Riders really hit it out of the park, but I've never seen it. So, but they talk about it, and unless I know, you know, that actor in that movie, in that scene, I don't know if I'll actually be able to go, yeah, that what they're saying is true. So I guess I'm going to have to end up watching these movies. Like, for instance, they say, Glenn Powell, your time is now. Ever since he broke out and everybody wants some, Powell's ascension to the A-list was only a matter of when and not if. Powell later introduced himself to a national audience in Top Gun Maverick, which I didn't even like, where he gets to save the day in the movie's final act. Powell carried that momentum into Anyone But You. Again, I didn't watch that because I wasn't interested in the leads. And then the most surprising box office success story of the past year, that's Anyone But You. These roles were building toward his movie star debut in Hitman, based on a script he co-wrote and director Richard Linklater.
Okay, but that's getting more interesting. I didn't know he co-wrote it.
Yeah. But it says, Hitman stars as Powell as Gary Johnson, a nerdy college professor who worked part-time with the New Orleans Police Department. That's interesting. When one of the cops can't work the sting operation, Gary takes his place as the fake hitman to elicit confessions from suspects, which, that's interesting. After one of Gary's alter egos connects with a suspect, Arjona, it sets him off on a passionate love affair that complicates his employment with the police. Yeah, like it actually poisons the well of any evidence. Yeah. So that actually might be a good movie to watch. It's over on Netflix. So stream it if you've got a Netflix plan. Pretty cool. So let me catch up with Seven Heavy here. All these movies did great, by the way. Yeah. People just don't go to movies anymore. I don't know. Weren't we reading about movie theaters are doing great, but maybe they're idling?
Well, they're kind of like they're almost like recovering from their pre-pandemic time, but I don't think they've quite gone there, but they're going in a positive direction.
Yeah. Only certain ones, like Inside Out 2 is a big draw, but it's because it's drawing 2 generations. Or like 30 years worth of people.
So we've also been seeing like the high budget films have not been doing very well, or not as big of a return. Sorry.
Yeah. That's exactly it too. That everything that we've talked about over the last several months have been that smaller budget films with great writing are crushing it. Seven also says, remember, acting isn't just an art. There are methods that many people gauge. Yeah. That's true too. There's a lot of like chemistry, stage presence, screen presence. And it's like I've been saying about, because we've gone back and we're watching all of the Castle episodes in rapid succession. And the screen presence, the charisma that everybody has, the camaraderie, the friendliness, the familial connections. It's just so amazing.
And also just kind of unnecessary details that are worked into the episodes. Like there'll be something happening in the background that really isn't directly relevant, but it's just more attention to detail than you might see in some other things.
Yep. Seven Heavy Steel says approach, posture, expression, drive. Yeah, I mean, if the actors are really engaged and they're doing their art, the main thing that I see in every movie that fails is shitty writing. If the writing is bad,
absolutely.
The acting
yeah, like if it's based off
it.
of a good novel or something, it's probably gonna, if assuming you have any decent acting, it's probably gonna be okay.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to put Hitman on the list because that's their number one. So, okay, let's keep going. This one is really interesting. I don't know what we can really do, like talk wise, how long we can talk about this because it is what it is, and we're waiting for the results of, I guess, litigation and more in interrogation. Like they're looking into this, but a John Wayne.
Right, and we don't want to get into the political commentary on this.
Yeah. A John Wayne flop has been linked to high cancer rates. A new documentary aims to tell the community's story. Basically, the 1956 movie The Conqueror is infamous among cinephiles, both for its casting of John Wayne as the Mongolian warlord Genghis Khan and for a suspicious number of deaths that followed its filming downwind of a nuclear test site. Nearly 70 years later, the makers of the documentary The Conqueror, Hollywood Fallout, hope to tell the story of the affected downwinder community in St. George, Utah, where the film was shot, as their federal compensation for radiation exposure is on the line. The article is over at The Hill. Zach Budrick is the author of this. And so, yeah, St. George, actually, The Conqueror was filmed in the Utah desert just outside of a town called St. George, which was 137 miles downwind from the Nevada test site, where the federal government conducted more than 900 nuclear tests. Historically, what are the cancer rates, particularly if you account for people moving from one location to another? If you pull those people back, is downwind from the Nevada test site, and you can track the wind pattern, is it a hot zone? So, after the movie was shot, observers noted a high rate of cancer among people involved in the filming. 91 of 220 crew members developed the illness, and 46 died.
That's an astounding percentage.
Yeah, nearly 50%.
By the way, this is not comparable, but in current terms, there's roughly 440 per 100,000 people. Not in St. George, but just in general.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
And again,
right?
That's not from earlier times. I know that doesn't really correlate, but just as one data point.
So, let's see. Director Dick Powell and stars Wayne, Susan Hayward, Agnes Moorehead all eventually died of cancer as well, while Pedro Armendariz, Sr., an accomplished Mexican actor and only non-white member of the film's main cast, died by suicide when his cancer became terminal. Damn.
And it says they didn't keep records of Native Americans that were playing extras in the film.
Yep. Yeah, so basically, what is this? What really happened? They say
the
that
other thing here was there was about a 50% mortality rate of the people that did have it, which is extremely high.
Yeah, exactly. So it was high to get it and high death rate, right? So the movie notes that eccentric billionaire Howard Hughes, who produced The Conqueror, may have exacerbated radiation exposure during film by having 60 tons of irradiated desert sands delivered to the RKO Picture soundstage in Hollywood to film interior scenes. So they brought the hot sand of the desert a little hotter than normal. Epidemiologists warned of the difficulty of definitively identifying a single cause for one cancer. Wayne himself was skeptical of a connection between the filming and the disease striking the cast and crew, noting late in life that he, Powell, and Armendariz were heavy smokers. All right. But what kind of cancer? Like, what's that?
Well, the delivery of the sand.
Mm-hmm.
That's in retrospect, it's like, oh no.
Yeah, bringing your work home. And in this case, bringing your cancer with you. So they both died in their 50s, notably young age to develop cancer. And as the documentary makes clear, the residents of St. George who developed cancer during the same period included young children. So, but there is a historical record that states what the cancers were, and it's not born from cigarettes, right? That's, I mean, if they classified the cancers, then you would know. A person doesn't just get cancer in their leg. They get cancer in their lungs if they're a heavy smoker.
Right.
And so for whatever reason, this was summarily dismissed. Questions surrounding Wayne's death that first surfaced in People magazine led Utahns to begin investigating a potential connection to their medical histories. The declassification of internal AAC documents followed, and strenuous lobbying by downwinders won former Utah Senator Orrin Hatch to their cause, culminating in the 1990 passage of the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, which recently expired. Yep, so there's a lot more here. They reauthorized it in 2022, but the authorization formally expired earlier this year after lawmakers failed to agree on further extension. Yeah.
So I guess the documentary, they're trying to generate some interest in this again.
Yep.
And awareness of it.
Yep. Fascinating. Yeah.
I've never even heard of this one. I mean, and that's exactly the point of this, right?
Yep. Quite interesting. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Continuity Report. 10 canceled Star Wars movies and TV shows that we'd love to see. And by we, it's Screen Rant, and by proxy, us, because, well, we're into all of this kind of stuff, right? So many Star Wars movies and TV shows have been canceled over the years, but here are 10 that the authors would desperately want to see. When the Skywalker saga wrapped up in 2019, the franchise essentially moved to the small screen, and yet it's returned to the cinemas. The last few years have seen so many canceled Star Wars movies and TV shows as Lucasfilm struggled to figure out which direction to take next. I don't know. More Grogu.
You can't go wrong with more Grogu.
Yeah,
or more bots.
This is, yeah, bots. Not human skin covered bots either, folks. Let's just not bother with the uncanny black hole. There is no uncanny valley. It's just a black hole. We're not going to slowly get there. Anyway, Screen Rant is the source. Clarence Snell is the author. The summary is, so many Star Wars movies and TV shows have been canceled over the years, leaving fans longing for certain stories that never come to life. Some projects like Boba Fett film, Rogue Squadron, had potential but were scrapped due to various reasons. Well, the Boba Fett one, there's so many things that people were really disappointed in Boba Fett's story because it made him seem squishy.
In the TV series.
Yeah. Even with the cancellations, there are still possibilities for the future with different directors and writers approached to upcoming films in the Star Wars universe. Yeah, there's all kinds of books that are out there for Star Wars. And that's like The Acolyte is content that's off of the world building, not from the historical stuff, but more modern stuff that's been written. So when the Skywalker saga wrapped up in 2019, the franchise essentially moved to the small screen. So there was going to be a solo Boba Fett film. Instead, fans received the Book of Boba Fett, and that fell on its face, even though it had potential. There was a Rogue Squadron that was supposed to be released in 2023. It was headed by Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins. And if Wonder Woman 1984 was any sense of what was going to come in Rogue Squadron, or Rouge Squadron, as you like to typo, on the internet, no wonder it didn't get made. I don't know. All the way back in 2020, Disney announced that they were working on a new film revolving around a set of fighter pilots, Rogue Squadron. There was a rumored Mos Eisley spaceport movie, which it would be like Cheers, but in Star Wars.
Right. I'm like, well, wait a second. What is this more about the setting than the characters?
I would love that. Cheers, but in Star Wars space. That would be amazing. That would be so amazing.
Might be a little grittier than Cheers.
I didn't, Han shot first. So Colin Trevorrow was supposed to direct episode 9. Star Wars The Duel of Fates promised a very different film. No. I didn't even like 9 anyway. But whatever. You know what's interesting about this, though? Is this lightsaber has the same lightsaber that's in... Oh, I can't talk about it because not everybody has watched.
Uh-oh. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, but I mean, what would this have looked like if this other director took on this film? I don't know.
Yeah. You almost want to be able to bounce over to a different timeline and go, oh, okay, that's what it's going to be like. Let's change the Prime timeline. I just think a lot of that was silly in episode 9. It's not the same as having a feature film version to watch. So they said the script for the movie has leaked online and can be experienced by anyone. Oh, really?
That might be interesting to look at.
I've never read a script that I've gotten from online. There was a Kevin Feige Star Wars film that was canceled, huh? The film never made it into production. So it was all written. Interesting. So he was reported to be working with Disney to create a Star Wars movie in 2019 with Loki writer Michael Waldron serving as the film's writer. Could have been interesting. Could have been interesting. Yeah. And David Benioff and D.B. Weiss were set to direct a trilogy. Game of Thrones showrunners left to pursue other options. If it was... keep them away from Star Wars. Yeah. Game of Thrones was great in the beginning and then completely sucked. But they were making up their own stuff because they weren't getting enough content.
Like, so they outpaced the books, right?
The source material, yeah. And that's what we've talked about before. As long as you stick to the source material and you don't get creative and wander off, writing your own book, yeah, you piss off enough people and they're just they are going to be relentless about pillaring you because you decided to be creative and what you wrote sucked. So it says the films would have been far removed from the Skywalker saga, taking place in either the far past, dealing with the time periods like the Old Republic or High Republic, or the far future after the sequel trilogy. And that's what we're ending up with The Acolyte. So that's all High Republic stuff. So this did not last. As soon enough, both of them left the project in order to sign on with Netflix. One's left to wonder if this is really the best choice given the lack of fame these new projects have had, or if their departure from the project was actually fueled by unsatisfying ending to their Game of Thrones series. Yes. Let me just answer that. Yes. Number 4 on their list is Damon Lindelof was the original director of the Rey Skywalker movie. It says in his version, Rey would have been much older. Okay.
Right. Well, then it might have been a different actor.
Right. I don't know. Everybody fell in love with her, so. Let's see what else. Guillermo del Toro's film would have expanded on Jabba the Hutt. Oh my God. Guillermo del Toro's version of anything Star Wars. That's going to be surreal. Oof. His artistic style of filmmaking would have brought a fresh look to the franchise. Yeah, it would have been fantastical. I don't know. But hey, I'm up for it. Maybe he can create another one. Yeah, Pan's Labyrinth was surreal. Hellboy, for crying out loud. Oh my God. Shape of Water is another one that's pretty wacky. Del Toro's unique style is the exact sort of cinematic flavor that would lend itself well to dramatic science fiction. I don't know. He's more fantastical than he is science
Fantasy,
fiction.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, jump in whenever you want. George Lucas had ideas for a sequel trilogy. These ideas were cut when Disney bought the property. Boom.
That's pretty ouch.
Yeah, well, like I'm done. Disney has him, I'm done. George Lucas had developed his own ideas for the sequel trilogy. With what has since been revealed, this sequel trilogy would have been much different than the one fans did receive. Not only would it have followed Leia Organa as she rebuilt the Republic and Luke Skywalker as he rebuilt the Jedi Order, but characters such as Darth Maul and Darth Talon would have been the main antagonists of the series. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually pretty interesting. So they bought the rights and scrapped in favor of the following the story of Rey and Ben Solo. So the kids, following the kids. Would have been an interesting story.
I kind of like the idea of the other way.
I think that I would like it to go in a completely different way, like follow other stuff, like Lower Decks. You know, that's what I'm kind of interested in. Something that's more world building and approachable. I like the fun, the larger than life that these are heroes and stuff, but I think I like it. I like more. That's what I'm more interested in. I don't want to just watch a movie and then have to wait years and years and years for another movie to come out. I like
that they've been doing lots of TV shows, so I hope they continue with that, assuming they're good ones, though.
Yeah, particularly at the level that we're seeing now. But there's going to be a lot of competition for ours because so much stuff is coming to Apple TV. That is going to be really tough to find time for everything. And then they say Star Wars Underworld was an early canceled show. Ideas from the show have been reused in other projects. So Underworld, originally announced at Star Wars Celebration in 2005, Star Wars Underworld was promised as a darker look at the world of Star Wars, focusing on both the crime and politics of the galaxy. Yeah, and depending on whoever is pointing the compass of the world building, they don't want dark and foreboding. They want just enough grit to make it believable, but not focus on the underworld. Focus on the heroes. That's, I think, what Disney is doing. Doesn't want to focus on anything else. You can't be the happiest place on Earth and have the underworld, right? If you do,
doesn't work too well.
It's a place to visit and get out fast. So, okay, folks, I'm about to lose my voice entirely, so I'm gonna bounce, and we'll do the other shows from tonight. Technology Today and Four Wheel Tech. We'll do those tomorrow morning. But in the meantime, we're gonna hop into our transport and fly all the way back to Main Street, ohmTown, and the Continuity Reports front page. I'm going to be updating graphics as time goes on too, and maybe doing some other changes. But right now, it's my summer of stream, so be sure to stay tuned. Take care, 7 Heavy Steel. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by, and hope to see you tomorrow. In the meantime, I am Mayor Watt, and that is the visualizer for the sentient AI from the future.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for the Continuity Report. We'll have another episode of that next weekend, but come back tomorrow for more episodes.
Bye-bye.